Hello, it's Rafael Gutierrez, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about philosophy and martial arts and why it's important and why it isn't. Now, one of the things you'll notice is that usually I have two posters behind me. This time I have the one that has the Shuri Castle, showing off the book Cirrus and the Rarest Things, which is pretty much a trip I took to Okinawa and wrote about it. The other one that's usually up on this side would have been the Off the Rails of Modern Mushu, which was a train trip I took where I stopped at different dojos in California and wrote about that. Now, I do mention those, and in part because of the philosophies that I've come across doing that. I'm not an expert of every martial art by far. I'm not an expert at any martial art, I would tell you, because I've seen people who are a lot better than me in a lot of different things. A lot of them are teaching me. But I still have found a lot of things that I find useful, which I teach to my students. Now, one of the things is a concept that as I looked at it more and more, I ended up finding something different. It's the concept of that many of you have heard, Ichi Go Ichi E. Now, a lot of people tell you, well, the meaning is, live each day as if it's your last. And it's really easy to say that. But one of the things that's interesting is if you really think about the time period where this thing actually came about, you end up having something a little different. What I mean by that is this. Let's not take the romanticized version of a samurai. Let's take the old version of samurai, the soldier, the guy who could be called to fight at any second of his life, or if his superiors got upset with him, could be asked to pretty much kill themselves. Now imagine living in that situation. At any minute, you can be called to die. Now, this is not a romanticized thing. This isn't I will die for my glory of my country and my God or whatever you want to talk about. This is a reality. Think about it. Imagine that if at any minute someone could actually tell you it's time for you to die, and you were expected to just walk in and say, okay, it's what I have to do. Think about how different your life would be. Think of different fights that you've had with different people. How would those fights be different? I mean, for instance, think of little arguments you may have had on, let's say, someone ate the last banana. How important would that be if you're thinking that what you say next could be the last thing this person hears from you? Or it may be the last thing that you say to them. They may actually also be in the same position. Now, let's include a lot of other things that were happening in this time period. Diseases, famine, everything. You have to think about it. For most of human history, life expectancy was about 35 years. I know some people will say, well, in some biblical texts, there was someone who lived 2,000 years. Well, one of the funny things is when we start looking at the times before writing, it looks like people weren't reaching 35. Once we have writing, 35 seems to be the average lifespan. And you have to remember, getting to 40, once you get to 50, bacteria was going to kill you off, viruses. There was so much that could kill you off that life expectancy was shortened that much. So think about it. You have 35 years, and that's it. On top of that, at any minute, you can actually literally be gone. Imagine living with that time bomb. Imagine living in that time period where, hey, you know what? If you know someone who's 60, chances are you're probably not going to make it to that long. There were variations in cultures, but in the short thing, it's these people who came out with these concepts. They weren't romanticizing, I'm going to die a glorious death. What they were actually thinking is, tomorrow I could be dead. I could be dead 5 minutes from now. It is a serious possibility. Now, think about how much simpler you would have actually been. Think of what you would find important in your life. Think about it. How many people would work an extra 5 hours for a little bit of money when they could be out playing baseball with their child, or having dinner with their girlfriend, or anything like that? Think about the fights that sometimes we have where we drag them on for no other reason than out of pride. And think about how much pride you would really keep in yourself if you knew that, that argument that just destroyed an entire week could be the last thing you have with that person. Now, that's actually condition where Ichi Go Ichi E came out. You have one chance, one opportunity, so use it. I mean, every day, think about this. If you wake up in the morning, and there's some of the old texts say this. When you wake up in the morning, realize that there's 1,000 swords ready to stab you. And when you go to bed, realize that you may not wake up tomorrow. Think of how you would act if that was your reality. I don't mean a perceived reality. I mean your true reality. If you've actually seen people die because they walked out and it's, hey, there happened to be a war that started or a battle that started that minute, and whoops, this guy just got stabbed. Think of you when you start thinking about all this and remove the romanticism about it. It actually does show you a really bleak thing, but at the same time, it gives you something really nice. And it does go into another thing that we've actually read about as martial artists, and that is there's one phrase that comes out: the real way to live is not in trying to preserve life, but rather understanding that your death can be around the corner. I'm paraphrasing, I know it might be a little different, but pretty much the real way to life isn't in preserving your own life, but to understand that, in any moment, your life could come to an end. Now, think about today. A lot of people forget about, we're safe. Most people, we have a life expectancy in the U.S. Of about 80 years. And so we're safe, we don't have to worry about, a bunch of barbarians coming down and massacring a lot of people. We don't have to worry about that. We don't have to worry about being hit by a large animal who's going to kill us and leave us on the side of a road. But there are different things that actually we do have. I mean, we do have diseases that affect us without us knowing. I mean, if you think about it, the main killer in the U.S. right now is heart attacks. And most people who get heart attacks, they don't know they have it. They have problems until they get it. Think about accidents. Another big cause of death in people younger than 25. You could be riding your bike and someone doesn't see you, hits you. That could be the end for you. There's a lot of different things that can actually take out your life, yet that we tend to ignore because it isn't seen as our reality anymore. I mean, we talk about the tragedy of someone dying, but the truth is, as martial artists, as we read these old texts, we should actually realize that everyone dies. That's actually one of the big things that we forget. And as we actually do accept everyone dies, and we take that idea of Ichi Go Ichi E, we can start seeing that what is really important. I mean, do we really want to fight with people we love, or do we want to just say, hey, you know what? Is this worth anything? Is it worth that this was going to be the last argument I have with someone? Or should we be a little better at, and just as martial artists decide, hey, you know what? Is this argument really worth fighting for? Can we actually move away from it and just enjoy what we have? That's actually some of the most important things I think that I've gotten out of martial arts. And I know I didn't do the biology of a martial art today. I did just a little bit of talking, but that is actually one of the things. And as I went back to sign my books, I actually did read both of them, and I looked at the serious and the rarest things. And I found that was one of the big things that came across over and over in the book. It was, if anyone who has read the book, that it's about my father passed away, my sensei passed away, my father passed away, a friend of mine passed away right afterwards, and I pretty much decided, I couldn't live the way I was living. Sold everything, went to Japan for 3 months to try to figure things out, and also because it was a opportunity that if I for some reason knew that if I didn't take it then, I would never be able to take it again. Now things are different for me. I'm happy with my life. I have a great place. I have a perfect girlfriend, and it's actually, my life is going great. And so I couldn't do the 3 months in Okinawa that I did back then. It would, I would have to put too much on hold. And it does go with the Ichi Go Ichi E. For instance, if tomorrow was my last day, I'd want to know that, I spent my time with my girlfriend. I want to know that I spent time helping people as I taught them. I'd want to know that, hey, you know what? I ended up doing all I could to get my life to be as long and as happy as possible. And I'm not saying that I'm like the best example of how to live, but this is stuff that I found works for me. And so I figured today make it something simple and mention this. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this, and if you agree with me, please let me know why. If you disagree with me, please let me know why too. And if you think I'm a complete joke, please let me know why, but be nice. Have a good day, and I'll talk to you later.